Morning to all. In today's session, we are all going to learn about the integrated marketing communication and advertising and sales promotion. So let's begin with the definition of what is exactly the integrated marketing communication. It refers a strategic approach that coordinates all the activities of the promotions on which the company marketing communication channels and its sources to deliver a clear, a unique, a compelling message about the organization and its products or services. That is exactly called an integrated marketing communication. The definition of this concept is mainly focused to create a seamless communication framework that binds every promotional method together so that it looks or it delivers a message, a appealing message to the audience or to the target audience. Let's have an example of integrated marketing communication. So it's a Coca-Cola Share a Coke campaign. So in this particular campaign, the various promotional activities has been used together for different tasks. Let's take an example for that. A personalized packaging, when it could be through advertising, it could be through sales promotion, and it replace the logo with the popular names, like for example making a bottles unique and shareable in the different platforms. Let's take another promotional activity called a social media. We can also talk about in this particular concept like digital media or the personal relation. It encouraged the users to share the photos with the hashtag share a coke, creating a massive user generated content through the social media. And the next another category of the promotion called events. It could be refers to a sales promotion or the personal relation. It can host in-store events where the people are to be gathered and they can personalize the cans on the spot basis. Next is a consistent story where the every element, the names, the hashtag, the events, which tells the same simple story of the sharing, that how you share a coke, and and using a personalized message which leads to a huge engagement and increase the consumption of the Coca-Cola brand that's called Coke. Let's talk about the next section that's called the key tools and the channels of integrated marketing communication. So the first tool or channel, we can say that advertising. It is a paid promotional tool of integrated marketing communication using a mass media like TV, radio, print, or the digital channels like search ads, display ads, video ads, etc. To reach out the wider audience and to create or to build up an awareness about the company products and services. The next tool is sales promotion. It refers to a short-term incentives like discounts, coupon, contests, loyalty programs to increase the immediate sales or to build up a sales on a spot basis using this tool, one of the tool of IMC. The next tool is the public relation, which in short we can also refer the PR and publicity. It refers to manage the brand image and generate a positive media coverage in terms of releases or any other public events to build up the credibility of the products of the organization. The next one is the direct marketing. It refers to communicate directly with the customers either through emails or you can say mail or any phone call to to receive a specific response from them, and that is also the one of the tool of IMC. The next tool is the personal selling. It also refers to a face-to-face interaction with the potential buyers, and it could be a crucial or a significant in business to business or a complex sales process. Next one is the digital marketing. It refers to a vast area or a broad area including the search engine optimization. In short, we can also call SEO, social media like the Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, content marketing tools like blogs or e-blogs or the videos. Next is emails or a mobile marketing tools to target the audience, that how it gather more and more publicity, more and more you can say awareness, and the customers could get a more and more knowledge so that they can engage with the product or with the brand of the organization. Next one is the interactive and internet marketing. It also refers the websites, the various applications, the webinars and the online platforms so that they can engage to the customers directly instead of having a phone call or an email. So that is also the one of the popular trend of you can say the marketing, that's called interactive and the internet marketing. The next one is the events and the sponsorship. It also creates the experience and the brand to be visible in the social platform or in the public events, so that they will also the products of the organization or the brand would more visible to the wider audiences. Let's talk about the next section, that is the key steps in the IMC process. The first process to know your audience. A particular researcher has to deeply understand what would be the target customers, how they would define their socio-demographic variables, how they will assess the behavior of the customers. Every prospect a researcher has to research and needs to tailor the messages accordingly in an effective manner. The next step is to set the clear objective. It also refers to define what you want to achieve, the awareness, the sale loyalty programs for the campaigns of a particular product which is conducted by the organization. The next is to develop a unified or a compelling or a clear message or a theme for a particular product. So it is the third process to create a clear messages of visual themes like colors. What would be the colors? What would be the tone? What would be the voice? You can say of the messages that they have to reach out to the target audiences, and that could be consistent and the memorable across all the platforms. So it would be a very unique and compelling message to create so that it could appeal to the different types of customers on every platform. That will be a third stage or a step of the IMC. The next step is to select and coordinate the channel. Then once the particular researcher or an analyzer has once developed the unified message and theme, the next step is to select and coordinate the channel. That what sort of channels, it could be the traditional channels or it could be digital channels, which channels are more appropriate for for a unique message to share on all the platforms. So it would be better for the organizations, for the brand that used both together in order to increase the you can say the sales or immediate sales, and the messages, unique messages can also be circulated to the wider audiences. The next step is to create, once the marketing channel has been decided, the next step is to create and execute the plan. So the company has to develop a compelling content, like in the way of storytelling, in the way of using up any emotional messages or the appeal, so that the customers could immediately refer that brand. And it could be used using an appropriate channels, how the company could integrate with the other marketing efforts, or considering the other factors like pricing or a distribution of a particular brand. The next is to measure and evaluate. It is also one of the important step of IMC to track the key, you can say, matrices, the tools of measuring the performances, like the sales measurement tools, customer engagement measurement tools, return on investment tool, awareness tools, and the methods where we can easily access the sales, engagement, ROI, awareness. There are various methods to be used by the organization. It could be any data tools, it could be A/B testing tool, or we can, in other words, we can also call split testing tools, where it refers to compare the variations of the you can say of two products immediately. And of course the social listening, that what would be the part of how being a good listener about what was going on the social media, that could be quick working tools to be used by the organizations to measure and evaluate the performances in advance. Next one is, and the next step is feedback loop and adaptation. So use the evaluation data. So once the data has been collected, then the process goes on to evaluate, and that evaluated data has to use to refine the messages, adjust the channel strategy, and improve the future campaigns, and just create a continuous cycle for the particular new brand which is going on into all the social platforms or in the market. The next and important section is the distinguish between the integrated marketing, communication, and traditional advertising. So the focus of IMC is to apply a holistic brand, or to create a unified compelling message across the multiple, or using up or you can say all the promotional tools all together. Next, the focus of the traditional advertising is using up or create a single medium messages, or you can say single messages using you can say a one channel to circulate their messages through a wider audiences. Next one is the message consistency. The IMC ensure the consistent or the unified messaging across or using all platforms. But the message consistency of the traditional advertising, it depends upon the messages, and also depends upon the different platforms, and accordingly they could work on it. The next one, the next criteria is audience engagement. So it could be interactive. It increases or uses the two-way communication models, and of course they can use the dialogue settings in their ads, or in their on all the you can say social platforms. The audience engagement in case of the traditional advertising, it's mainly a one-way communication, a single message through one channel, so a limited audience interaction has always been exist using a traditional advertising. The next one is the flexibility. So in case of the IMC, it's a high adaptability but based on the real time feedback or the data, whatever the data has been evaluated, and based on that the particular theme, a particular message, a particular ad has to be created and of course uploaded, or you can say shared on all the platforms together. But in case of the traditional advertising is a less adaptable. It always present a campaign plan. The next one is what are the channels used in IMC. It's all about the blend of digital, traditional and the emerging platforms. But in case of traditional advertising, it's mainly leans on the traditional mass media channels like television, print, radio, etc. The next the next tool is, or the next criteria is the measurement and analysis. It refers to a continuous tracking analysis that how the performances has to be evaluated on all the social platforms together, and they use all the measurement tools or key metrics tools to measure the sales, engagement, awareness, knowledge, return on investment, and that's why such analysis has to be done using the various methods of matrices of measuring all of the various variables like sales, engagement, etc. But when in case of the traditional advertising is limited to the post campaign analysis, and of course it refers to a few you can say real time matrices to use. Next criteria is the budget allocation. It in case of the IMC, it refers to a diversified across the multiple strategies and channels so that they can reach out to an optimal return on investment. But in case of the traditional advertising, it's often you can see concentrated more on a specific you can say potential expensive medium media placements. The next criteria is the brand perception. It builds a cohesive, a trustworthy, comprehensive brand narrative stories. Then, but in case of the traditional, it always refers to a risk of fragmented brand image due to the, you can say, disjoint messaging. Next criteria is a customer relationship. IMC aims for a long-term relationship with the customers. They always focus on the customer satisfaction, the customer loyalty, and the advocacy. But in case of the traditional advertising, it mainly focus on the short-term sales, that how the awareness could be broad using up the traditional channels. The next criteria is the integration with the tools. As in case of IMC is the integration of all the marketing tools and the data and strategies. But in case of the traditional marketing, it is operates in a more you can say sized manner. Like we can talk about the independent the tools are more independent in itself, like television, print, radio, etc. The next we can talk about the next concept, that is a marketing communication mix. So here we can have a look upon the mix of all the channels where we can communicate the messages of the product so that they can market on all the social platforms or all the digital, traditional or emerging platforms like advertising. You can talk about digital marketing, personal selling, public relations, sales promotion and the event sponsorship. Now we can come up to the next concept, that's called the marketing communication. marketing communication is always uses a promotional mix, a blend of all the tools like advertising, sales promotion, personal selling, public relation, direct marketing, and digital and interactive marketing. Or in other words, we can also call in this particular term that's called a marketing communication mix, where uh, communicating a compelling message through the various tools of promotional mix. These tools are mainly being used to inform, to convince, to remind the customer about the new products, how they build up the relationships with the customers, to increase the immediate sales through a consistent integrated message across the various channels. These are the key elements of the promotional tools, which are very similar the tools of the IMC. So advertising, sales promotion, personal selling, public relation, and publicity, which always be the most you can say prominent elements of the promotion mix. The next tools could be direct marketing, digital and the interactive marketing, events and experiences, mouth of word, that is in short we can talk about, we can see WOM marketing. It is one of the new category of the promotion mix which encourage the natural discussions and reviews among the consumers. Now how they work together, how the promotional mix and you can say integrated marketing communications work together. So it could work together using a various tools of the promotion like advertising, public relations, sales promos, personal selling, digital, etc. And of course it could be worked together with the IMC, that is integrated marketing communication. So it would be more beneficial to combine these tools to deliver a unified, consistent and the powerful brand message across you can see all customers segments or the touch points, which ensure that the each element it reinforces the other to build up you can see best customer experiences, from a TV to in-store display, that ultimately you can see leads to a stronger recall and convert the you can say convert the particular convert the buying process into a sales. When we talk about the integrated marketing communication, it's not a new mix actually, it is a strategic approach, or in other words we can also say a strategic coordination of the existing mix for the maximum impact you can say to the wider audience or to the target audience through such channels. So it could be how they work together through the various reasons. The first one is a unified message, that is a core theme of the particular you can say concepts. That is, instead of having a separate campaigns, the integrated marketing communication ensures the core theme, the look, what would be the you can say fact from the major you can say ad campaign for a new product or for a new product launch, which to be reflected on a social media you can say post, the sales emails, public relation, religious or a public event, how the sales representative communicate these particular you can say new products or a new product launch to the customer touch points. The next is a multi channel reinforcement. A customer is always prefer to go to the television ads like advertising. It always a direct mail piece and a direct marketing, and ultimately it reinforce to a in-store display. So when you go to any of the malls, you always see the in-play display about the new product of the brand, about the new product of the company, and of course the visuals, the colors, then how it display, which in other words we can call a sales promotion. Then ultimately then a particular customer finds it could be more appealing online using the digital marketing as well. So each touch point is always built the last creating and a strong impression on the minds of the customers. So this is how the multi-channel reinforcement, where the customers prefers first television ads, then immediately that could be you can say that could be find by the customer in an in-store display. Then also they later find out it would be more interesting that why it should be goes to online platforms or using a digital marketing. So in this way it will build up a last creating a unique impression in the minds of the customer. Next is targeted reach. IMC is always use the evaluated data to identify the customer segments, and it also allow the marketers to use the best promotional tools to reach out the customer's touch point. It could be personal selling in case of business to business. It could be the social media for the Generation Z network, while keeping the message consistent for each group. The next one is a building relationship. When all the promotional tools used together and how it would coordinated by the company always believes in you can say create a personal relation story, so that they can increase the sales for its new brand, and in this way it will build up the credibility where the you can see the where which makes the subsequent ad for that innovation which could be more believable to the customers. Let's talk about the example a coordinated campaign where all the promotional activities or the efforts has been done. So when we talk about advertising a catchy TV or introduces a new sustainable product line, so when we conduct a coordinated campaign, we have to use all the promotional activities, and these are the naming of such activities for the campaign. The next one is the public relation, that is PR, a press release which highlights the company given manufacturing process and how it would lead to an ad theme. The next one is the sales promotion. It refers to an in-store display, the feature displays with the same eco-friendly branding as an ad. Digital marketing, the website has a dedicated section with the videos, with the use of social media ads and how it promote a user generated content. We can also refer the hashtag our green future. That would be a unique message to the audience or to the customers, and email campaigns which are by offering a discount code. Next one is the personal selling. A sales representative are to be trained to discuss the product sustainability features which is mentioned in the advertisements or the you can say public relations. The next section is the IMC planning process. The IMC planning process is as it is a systematic coordination or approach to integrate all the marketing communication starts with the situation analysis, like the SWOT or the audience analysis, to set the objectives, to create an awareness or leads in the market or in online platforms, and then accordingly develop the strategies, like using up the creating a messages, or using the appropriate marketing channels, and then determine the budget. And budget could be based on the objective and task, a percentage of sales method, etc. And in this way it will ensure consistency and culminating in evaluation process, as the budgeting methods is always one of the top priority for the organization, that how to determine the budget. And it could be determined through the two main methods, like the objective and task method, the best but most complex one, or simpler percentage of sales, which align the funds with the objectives of the organization, that how it also consider the reach and frequency of the brand to the customers, and how the customer journey to efficient allocate the resources across the media, like digital platforms, public relation, sales promotion, to have or to achieve the maximum input on the minds of the customers. So this is IMC planning process steps. The first one is a situation analysis. The analyzer or the company has to understand the internal and the external factors. It could be through the SWOT analysis and the market analysis, the competitors analysis, and the customers, suppliers, vendor analysis. So this is exactly called the situation analysis, that what are the factors which influence inside and outside the organization. It is important to analyze each factor and then proceed to the further steps. The next one is the next step is the target audience and positionings. So once the analysis part has been over, it is important to identify the key segments and how the brand is to be positioned in the or on the you can say digital platforms using an appropriate channels. Next one is the marketing and communications objective. It is also important to define the measurable goals, increase the awareness by 10%, so that it would generate the X leads, so for a particular brand, a new brand, or for a new product. The next one is strategies and tactics. So it refers to develop the overall approaches or the strategies or the specific actions, so that using the promotional tools mix or the promotional mix, like advertising, public relation, sales promotion, or the sales promo, or a digital marketing. So in this way, the actions and the strategies has to be applied using these promotional mix channels. The next is budget determination. So once the you can say analysis part has been done, the messaging unified messaging theme has been done. The next is the marketing channels has been decided. Then the next is budget determination, that how the allocate the funds for the planned activities. Either could be the promotional activities with the company objectives, etc. Then next step is the implementation and scheduling. It refers to execute the plan. So once the company has planned that this is a way that the objective has been decided, and how the funds has been allocated, how the channels has been decided for the promotions of the product using the best appropriate channels, then now it's a time to execute the plan across the selected channels, and that's called the implementation and scheduling. The next is evaluation and control. Then once the plan has been executed across the selected channels, now the next step, or it's time to measure the results, to measure the performances of the products aligned with the company objectives. Either it could be to measure the return on investment, sales, engagement level, awareness level, using the various methods of analysis or the matrices like the, you can say, A/B testing, sales or data insight tools, etc. The next or the most important is budgetary consideration and method. So once as the company has to allocate the funds with the you can say company objectives or for the selected promotional activities, so these are the methods to use up to decide or how to allocate the funds for the selected promotional activities. So the first one is the objective and task method. It defines the objectives. It also lists the tasks, that what are the tasks has to be done and what are the costs involved in in these tasks, and it should be decided to be the most logical activities, so that the budget would be considered, and it should also refer the demanding you can say activities, and accordingly the cost has to be decided on the listing or the listed tasks. Next one is the percentage of sales. It's allocate a percentage of the past and the future sales. It is quite simple, but it ignores the needs of the, you can say, of the determining the exact objective of the company. Next one is the competitive parity. It matched the competitors' spending to maintain the maximum share across all the selected channels. Next is top down, where the executive set up a lump sum percentage or an amount and then potentially ignores the campaign's need. So once the company ignores the campaign's need, they are free to hire the executive just to set up the lump sum cost for the you can say selected promotional activities. Now we can come up to the key budget factors. What are the factors to be considered, and accordingly the budget has to be decided. A cost has to be decided on for the listed tasks. The first one is the customer journey. It refers to a budget more for the awareness, and it need to be decided at the earliest as the company can, but it always refers you can say less focus on the conversion. Next one is a reach and frequency. How many customers have seen the ad? How often the customers you can say see the ad? Either it would be week or a month, or would be 2 times, 3 times a week, 4 times you can say a month, or 10 times a month. This is how the company could evaluate the performance of the ad through the unique message. The next one is the channel cost. So what would be the digital ads cost, how the content creation cost, agency fees, etc. Internal resources. What are the capabilities and the capacities of the manpower, whether the training of the staff is actually needed. So these are the costs are also equally important to considered into a budget. Next is the coordination, the budget for integrating across all the touch points, whether in the time of the product launch, what would be the pricing factors, what would be the distribution factors, and that to be included and considered to for determining the budget. So these are the 5 main factors that which always helps to determine the budget. Now, what are the factors which affect the IMC strategy? There are various factors, but the first one will begin to, that is internal and the strategic factor. The first factor is the business objectives, as the overall company goals are equally important and has to be aligned with the communication goals. Next is target audience. Deep understanding about the socio-demographics of the customers, the psychographics analysis, what are their needs, what sort of behavior they adopt during the buying process, that that to be analyzed and accordingly finalize the target audience. The next one is the product characteristic. It refers the type of product, either it could be the complex or a simple type of the product, business to business or business to consumer type product, which ultimately influences the communication process. The next one is budget. So whether the budgets are available to line up the scale of the operations and the choice of the promotional activities, that is also the one of the factor to focus on. Next is product life cycle. It is also relevant to study the introductory stages which needs more promotion, and later the stages focus on retention level. The customer has to be loyal with the brand. Then this is a later process of the cycle which has to be decided by the organization. Next one is the brand positioning, that how the brands wants to be perceived in the market. That is a big challenge for the analyzer or for the researcher, for the organization to decide on. The next category are the external and the market factors. First one is the competitive landscape, that would refers to competitors, what would be the competitors strategies, how they compel a unique message to the audiences. Next one is the media fragmentation. It refers to a number of available channels, which in other words we can also call a clutter, which requires a better integration. Next is technology. It refers to a digital advancement which constantly change the new era, that how the customers interact with the brands. Next is market and customer trends, as it keeps on changing over a period of time, so it involves the consumer behavior or the customer behavior, and what would be the media consumption habits. So these trend has to be analyzed accordingly. And the next category are the execution and the measurement factors. The first one is message consistency. A unified message across all the touch points has to be considered, like through the advertisement, social media, personal relation, etc. Next is channel selection. Choosing the most appropriate platform is also the one of the factor to decide on, where the target audience spends time. It could be social media, emails, television, OTT platforms, or OOH platforms. Next is message adaptation. It tailors the message format. It could be in the form of the video on the text messages and how it reach to the channels. Next one is the integration. It making sure all the promotional tools work systematically or togetherly. Next is measurement and optimization. It refers to track the key performance indicators, that's in short KPI, and making a data driven adjustment accordingly. What would be the emergence of social media revolution in MIMC? So once the social media has been emerged, it always transformed, you can see the IMC in a different perspective. It shifts the two-way communication. It moved beyond the brand controlled messaging to the interactive and emotional storytelling or dialogues, which ultimately increases the community and the connection level. The next is, while the emergence of the social media, it where the customer engagement should be direct. So it allows the brands to listen, to interact with and understand the customer preferences in the real settings. Next is rise of the user generated content. The consumers become, you can say, the content creators of the brand narratives, influencing the perceptions through the reviews and the posts. Next is personalization and a data driving insight. It enables the target messaging and the customized experiences based on the user data. Next is influencer marketing. It leverages the trusted individuals only, or in other words, we can also call messengers, to spread the authenticate messages within the subculture. Next is expanded IMC scope. It also includes the service interaction. It could be called a social customer care as a core part of the marketing communication, which not refers a separate functions in it. Next is, what are the advantages for business? As the social media revolution emerged into the IMC, what are the advantages for the businesses? It increased the website traffic and the brand awareness. It also, you can say, build up the customer loyalty through the emotional connection. It refers to a cost-effective reach and targeting. It also refers to reach data for a better decision making. But on other hand, it also faces the challenges and consideration. That would be the time and resource incentives. That's true, it manages the multiple platforms, which also requires the significant effort, time, energy, and cost. Next is the reputation management. Negative feedback sometimes spread quickly and must be addressed proactively. Next is information overload. It cutting through the noise requires a highly engaging and relevant content. Sometimes the content doesn't look appeal into the minds of the consumers. Then it is only highly important, significant to create an engaging and relevant content. That would be a challenging task at the spot point to change. Next is data privacy. Handling the customer data, it should be a big or challenging responsibility in it. Next is, what are the stakeholders of marketing communication industry? The first one is the internal stakeholder. That means within the organization. It could be it could refers to the leadership and executives, employees, marketing teams, sales, finance, and information technology. These are called the internal stakeholders of the marketing communication industry. The next is external stakeholders. What are the external stakeholders of the marketing communication industries? It could be the clients and customers, agencies and vendors, suppliers and distributors, investors and shareholders. These are all called the external stakeholders who works outside the organization and mainly focus on the objectives or to fulfill the objectives of the organization. Media and influencers are also called the external stakeholders. Regulators and government are also called. Local communities are also called, because after all it is affected by the company physical presence and social impact. And the next one is the industry associations. It also represent the broader industry interest in the market. The next concept is advertising. So advertising is a paid and a public message by the sponsor to promote a product and service or any idea using various media like TV, digital and the print media, so that it could convince, to inform, to drive actions, you can say, on the platform. So as on the TV commercial for a smartphone, it's highlighting the features, the limited time discount, so that it could attract to the buyers to buy the smartphone. So it is a public announcement or a promotion. So in other words, we can also say that advertising is also a public announcement or a promotion through channels like television, social media, or any other billboards, which aims to attract the attention, create the interest, and encourage a response like buying from the audiences. And that is exactly called advertising. Let's talk about the example of advertising. A social media ad for a coffee shop. A Facebook ad is always be preferred to promote a new coffee shop grand opening special, offering a discount or coupon on the first coffee served as an advertisement. A TV commercial ad for a smartphone, a visually engaging ad showing off a new phone camera and a battery life, which ends with a call of to action and buy now or visit a store, is a classic example of advertising. Next one is how advertising works. Advertising works by grabbing the ADA model. It refers to the attention, interest, desire, and action through a creative or unique messages, data, how they target the data for the future, how they prepare a strategic placements across you can say different social platforms, making brand more memorable, and influences the choices by connecting the products with emotions, needs, lifestyles, which aims to increase the sales or awareness. Advertising is also uses the psychological tactics from direct convince to subconscious association, make them ensure the right message to reach to the right audience at the right time. And this is how the advertising works through the ADA model, that how they create a unique message by connecting the audiences with their emotions, needs and lifestyles, so that it leads to it leads to increase the sales and awareness of the product or brand. So these are the you can say core mechanism that how advertising works. It could work through the ADA model. The classic framework refers to attention, interest, desire, action, which always guides the organization, that the focus on the creation of the content for the ads that could be the first catch, or you can say to the eye, and then build desire, and finally call for a purchase or engagement for a product to the customer. Next is the mental availability. Advertising makes a brand easy to recall by creating a distinguished assets like jingles, logos, images, etc., which ultimately linked to a specific situation. It refers to an emotions or a lifestyle which increases the chance, you can say, to boost the sales. The next one is psychological association. The ads link products with the positive feelings or ideas or the lifestyles. For example, it could be happiness, success, belongingness, to influence the perception accordingly. Next is advertising process. The first process is planning. It refers to define the goals for awareness, sales, loyalty, to build up and identify the target audience using data. Next is, or using the past data. Next is creation. It develops the compelling messages using the visuals, music, and storytelling. Next is execution. Once the planning and the creation has been done, it plays the ads on the chosen or the selected channels. Either could be social media, television, print, where the target audience spends time. Next is measurement. Then track the performances like using clicks, sales, engagement to refine the future campaigns. Types of goals of advertising. The brand awareness, a broad campaigns to make a brand recognizable, like or recognized, like Coke and or Nike. Next is direct response. It also aims for an immediate sales or lead. It could refers to a limited time offers. Then persuasion. It convinces the consumers a product is superior, engaging, a brand switching. Types of advertising. The first one is the traditional advertising. Print media. It always ads in newspapers, magazines, brochures, and flyers with some with the aligned budget. Next is broadcast advertising, commercials on television and radio. Outdoor advertising, it's billboard, bus shelter ads, transit ads, or poster. You can also look the ads on the Delhi metros or ads on the buses. That's called outdoor advertising. Next is direct mail. It refers to a catalog, newsletters, postcards sent through the postal service. Next category is a digital marketing. It refers to a social media advertising where the ads to be on platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or sponsor post stories and videos. Next is search engine marketing, that is pay per click ads on search engine like Google. Next is display advertising. It refers to a banner ads on the websites. Next is video advertising. It's a pre-roll, mid-roll, and in-stream video ads on platforms like YouTube. Next is email marketing. It refers to ads and promotion sent directly to the email subscribers. Native advertising. It refers to ads designed to blend in with surrounding content. That's called a sponsored articles. influencer marketing, like collaborating with the social media personalities to promote your product. Other types is guerrilla advertising. It refers to unconventional, surprising approaches or tactics in public spaces. Product placement. It refers to featuring the products within the TV shows or movies. Next is the public service announcement, the ads for the non-profit or social causes. Role of advertising, it's informed to educate, it's to convince and influence, to remind the product into the minds of the customer, and to build the brand and image in the minds of the customer, and that image would be the company image. That's it for today. Thank you so much for listening this lecture. I will come up to a more and more interesting, relevant and important topics in the upcoming session. So till time, thank you and namaste to all.